Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our Global TV Deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Too long in our little ghetto, run keep going on, less process. For children of Israel do really love rights. So just and I as a watching man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Hey, oh, we gonna bust down Babylon walls. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for your people. Let's go. Fight down, war and cry. Fight down, me say Rastafari. War and cry and do the righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Save all people. And we love Jah. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Save all people. Put time away again. Listen, yeah. Just as I and I as a watching man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace while we penalize. Hey, oh, night, we gonna bust down Babylon gates. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for Jah Rastafari. Fight down, war and cry. Fight down, war and cry. Rastafari, war and cry. And build up righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Rastafari. We love all. And we love Jah. Me love Jah. Me love Jah. Rastafari. Preserve all. Me love Jah. Rastafari. Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation. Because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is all dead. Rastafari. Come with us. Rastaman throw one stone and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear not hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside a rub and cheat and not press the floor. Make up what I seen to. Make him a throw and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan! Make him a throw and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the day them can sell out Rasta and sell it out and sell out Babylon. They give man show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead and can sell out Rasta and sell out, I sell out Babylon. Just stop on the Friday. You must show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black thing, you must show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let him hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big him and show one stone. And it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black big him and show one stone. And it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rastaman show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
Tell us something. However, the choir continued to sing. The Prime Minister Sopranos came out today and they continue the norm. Darrell Vaz, isn't it rather confusing that same time we get 150 million US in insurance money, you have 150 million for US fill in JPS? I find that very confusing, Darrell Vaz, don't you? I'm not going to bring you more of Andrew Holness tonight, but I can equally bring you as irritating as Andrew Holness, because tonight we're going to listen to Dr. Leptos and Minister Spirosis. If it is that you're all doing well, where the people on the ground in the disaster hit areas could feel it, and we out here in Wonderland could see it, there literally would be no need for the government to go around on camera patting themselves on their back how well they have done, when only this government and its cronies or surrogates can really see that this government is doing anything. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us, to my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good evening and welcome. Me have one toffee in my mouth and it want choke me every time I talk, but hoping I choke me live and here. But everybody, good evening. Sharon Bernard, how you do? How you do? I hope the internet keep up. Good evening, everybody. I know too wonderful in a social media fan there. But me hang up on the cross this morning, so I go drive in the nail them. No. Because we have Dr. Leptos. Dr. Leptos is going to speak, and I'm going to let Dr. Leptos speak uninterrupted. And I want to see if you have spot the blunder from Dr. Leptos. And when you spot the blunder, please type it in the chat. All right? So we're going to go straight over to Dr. Leptos. We'll have Dr. Leptos first, then we'll have Minister Pyrosis. But Dr. Leptos, for me, made a blunder. And I want to see if you all spot it. Let's take it away.
You heard him last week speaking on some medical related issues post hurricane that were expected. And so he's going to give you a further update this morning. Please welcome Dr. Christopher Tufton, our Minister of Health and Wellness.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
Thank you very much. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Daryl Vaz, irritate me more.
My colleagues and to others who are here. So this is a fairly brief update. I want to just recognize in the audience my PAHO colleagues, Ian Stein, who is country head, he and his team, UNICEF also, because they have been a critical part of the health response. We continue to respond to the environmental issues in health as a result of the hurricane, and I'm restricting my comments today to that. We will give a more fulsome, updated response at our ministry's press briefing, if not tomorrow, on Friday, where we'll give a much longer version of the health response. So in summary, we have a plan, and that plan we believe is working. We started off with the emergency services in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane. As of this weekend, we will have 3 field hospitals set up, the last one being at Savlamar Hospital. Very sophisticated facilities that provide all the necessary services, from diagnostics to lab to pharmacy to inpatient care, operating theater, etc. We then moved into the primary facilities, where we have attempted to restore services, if not the infrastructure, of our health centers. 101 health centers have been impacted in the zone of the storm. We have about 325 health centers in total.
We don't have to listen and judge for yourself, you know. As me tell you this morning, we never take the bullshit subject at school, so I never pass it. So we can't translate bullshit. Everybody depend their own with this year, you know.
Approximately 101 impacted in various ways. 25 or so badly damaged, either totally damaged or extensively damaged. As of now, the assessment is being done, similarly so with the hospitals, and bringing those back to a point where the services can be provided, even if in a makeshift facility, whether it's a tier 1 tent type health center, or as said earlier, the field hospital. In addition to that, we have been attempting to ensure that our health staff, through our assessment, are come back to normality in terms of their physical possession and their losses. Of course, giving them some emotional support also. And between those local workers and the teams that have come in, many teams from various NGOs, bilateral, multilateral partners, with the support of entities like PAHO, UNICEF, and others, we have been able to establish the personnel that is required to give the support for the services. And that in the immediate aftermath of the storm, we believe is going well, in that persons, Jamaicans who need attention are in fact getting attention. And we're very proud of the team and the work that.
You heard him, didn't you? You heard him.
They have been doing up to this point. The other point, and where I want to just spend a little time on, is the environmental threat. Now, we are sensitive to the concerns that have been raised in the public space by experts and non-experts alike, by either on the political hustings or by persons who are trained and who have sincere and genuine concerns about the announcements around leptospirosis, tetanus, and vector-borne related diseases. So we listen, and we accept, we assess, and we respond. I just want to reassure the country that
Globalist, like and share the live filming up, please. I beg you.
That we have always anticipated, as in preparation for dealing with a storm of this kind, one that we have never had before, as you know, that there, in the immediate aftermath of the storm, there would have been environmental risks. If you look at the history of these types of events, including the most recent one being what was the name of the one before? Beryl. The data would indicate that we had spikes in these environmental threats or diseases. Leptospirosis being a bacteria, of course, and dengue, a virus. So it's not genius to predict it, because the data and the historical data supports it, that this happens. What is important is that we prepare for it and we confront it. In the first instance, to prevent or certainly minimize, and in the second instance, to treat and to cure.
Attention growth hackers and hustlers. Would it be a bad idea if we paid for your marketing? That means you would get...
Just to reassure those who may be concerned and have expressed those concerns, we started training to deal with the possibility of a lepto outbreak from before the storm, or just in the immediate aftermath of the storm.
They start training how to deal with a leptos outbreak just before the storm. And then he quickly catch up himself and say, just in the aftermath of the storm. If one never plan it and one never knows that something will come, why Pan American Health Organization come in and help you train for the leptospirosis outbreak, if anything deliberate? This is the problem, bad toy. Is it a blunder, or he meant to tell with something, or what? The training are gone before the storm, and if them are trained in anticipation, isn't it that them know are going, given that document Jamaicans were assembled, NASA people were assembled, all sorts of journalists were assembled, Pan American Health Organization come in, come start train. Yes, bad toy, we cover harp on here very regular. Dr. Tuftimes catch up on himself.
In addition to that, we have been attempting to ensure that our health staff, through our assessment, are come back to normality in terms of their physical possession and their losses. Of course, giving them some emotional support also. And between those local workers and the teams that have come in, many teams from various NGOs, bilateral, multilateral partners, with the support of entities like PAHO, UNICEF, and others, we have been able to establish the personnel that is required to give the support for the services. And that in the immediate aftermath of the storm, we believe is going well, in that persons, Jamaicans who need attention are in fact getting attention. And we're very proud of the team and the work that they have been doing up to this point. The other point, and where I want to just spend a little time on, is the environmental threat. Now, we are sensitive to the concerns that have been raised in the public space by experts and non-experts alike, by either on the political hustings or by persons who are trained and who have sincere and genuine concerns about the announcements around leptospirosis, tetanus, and vector-borne related diseases. So we listen, and we accept, we assess, and we respond. I just want to reassure the country that we have always anticipated, as in preparation for dealing with a storm of this kind, one that we have never had before, as you know, that there, in the immediate aftermath of the storm, there would have been environmental risks. If you look at the history of these types of events, including...
What did you put in place though, Christoph, then? You come out and you tell us so you know there was going to be environmental risk. Pan American Health Organization coming to the country before the hurricane and I get training or to deal with the leptos when it come after the hurricane and the flood. Why then did you not put anything in place? Or is it that you know just run a research pan we at the moment, you know devastate we and left we in an unsanitary condition, and then the big research is to see how much the disease can run against us like wildfire. A big research are going in Jamaica. Big research are going pan we right now.
The most recent one being Melissa, not Melissa, what was the name of the one before? Beryl. The data would indicate that we had spikes in these environmental threats or diseases. Leptospirosis being a bacteria, of course, and dengue, a virus. So it's not genius to predict it, because the data and the historical data supports it, that this happens. What is important is that we prepare for it and we confront it. In the first instance, to prevent or certainly minimize, and in the second instance, to treat and to cure. Just to reassure those who may be concerned and have expressed those concerns, we started training to deal with the possibility of a lepto outbreak from before the storm, or just in the immediate aftermath of the storm.
Are you confused? Because Jamaica looked differently before the storm compared to how it looked after the storm. Even if you're confused with the time, you shouldn't confuse with the look of the country. Dr. Tuftimes, you shouldn't confuse with how the country look. Did you and Pan American Health Organization start on a training before or after? Unless Dr. Tuftimes, the training start Tuesday, Monday night, when Melissa ain't meant to come And then through Melissa slow down and come Tuesday morning. Which is it? Was it Monday night broke Tuesday morning or so on? Because you say when you start before, then you catch up on yourself and say I give too much information to it, and then you say just after. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, Darrell Vaz, Christopher Tufton. Just like how all of a sudden, Darrell Vaz take with insurance money, the same amount of money we get from World Bank in insurance, and the same amount of money Darrell Vaz have lent to JPS. We don't find it confusing. Mr. Vaz find it confusing because you know a buckle stop of him count, and if you go count 150 million US in a buckle stopper, you go sit down one place all year. But me find it very confusing how if say a two different 150 million. You not find it confusing globalists? And you don't want to know if a two different 150 million US dollar or is the same 150 million US, and why the 150 million US feel to pluck up when we get the insurance, just like the nasty Melissa, whenever feel to pluck up until Andrew decides them are going to build city centers and develop South Coast tourism. Then here comes an atmospheric missile pointed at us and blast us. Can you imagine Darrell Vaz? Darrell Vaz, can you imagine? No, sir.
Even before we could provide data that there was a spike, PAHO is here and they can validate that. We started doing lab training for testing, securing the testing equipment and the materials, sensitizing our doctors or field operatives to look at or reminding them of symptoms so that they can diagnose before lab test results, and of course, reminding of treatment. In that department, we have no issues up to this point. The health team is properly seized with what they need to do, what to look for, and how to address. In addition to that, the health team.
Dr. Tufton, call on the pirate title, call on love on the title them. Jamaica people have phone, you know, sir. And some of them will get back internet. They hope I see here won't not talk nothing no go so, you know.
In the field who are moving around looking at the consequences of the storm, the pileup of solid waste, which again is predictable, floodwaters, moving things from one place to the next. There are areas, low-lying areas that are going to be particularly risky.
Here, Dr. Tufton, if Desmond McKenzie and for him goon them, did I do their job? And we never have such a backup of rubbish in the country. I must say about from Methuselah, that primary school, rubbish not collect in our country. So you can't tell yourself, and because we rat them, we turn up and argue with all the while. Make leptos there go break out. I have something to do with the whole of uno evil plan. We don't have against we because plan B now we no doctor. The missile won't throw out away. Never kill we have. Never do as much as what it should have been done. No one no turn to plan B. We no turn to plan B now we no want to kill we off with disease. Because plan A failed. Plan B go fail too. Because your plan is evil. Your plan is evil, so plan B is going to fail as well. It's a whole conglomerate on us surround we, you know. It's a whole conglomerate on us surround we. The kill we are for real estate. The same piece of real estate where Andrew got South Africa. A carve up, you have peace here, you get a piece there, you get a piece there, but no consultation with the Jamaica people, no consultation with the people of St. Elizabeth, or your town and your tourism. But you go all the way foreign and you carve way up piece by piece, and Jamaicans don't want to rise up and show you about the place.
So we coordinate with NSWMA, local government, and others. That team is very seized with what needs to be done, and they are in the field. And, you know, one could argue that it could have been a lot worse if we were not mobilized and out there, and the public education, information, and support was not taking place. But, you know, we say to the public, without that assumption, that we are very comfortable and confident in terms of the approach that has been taken. We are confident in the team that is doing the work. And, you know, to assume the worst, to my mind, is to pour negativity on what, from my perspective, is a positive approach to a risk that we have to take. And while we listen, while we take note, I just want to reassure the public that we are doing what is necessary. So the flooding and the impact of the flooding, the moisture in the environment because of the flooding, in homes because of the roof loss.
This ad is like nothing you've seen before, because I'm going to use this exact framework to convince you to download
the solid waste, which is now being cleaned up. We have supplied to our colleagues in solid waste through local government the areas that are particularly risky based on our assessment. The work is now taking place to remove that solid waste, to clean up the natural environment of the sun is drying out the areas that are moist, which gives greater breathing ground for the bacteria and for the rodents to move and to spread the bacteria. The dead carcasses are being addressed, whether naturally or otherwise, because we have provided.
Dr. Tuftimes, stop it. Stop it. When the carcass them was at this stage where urgent intervention required, you spoke nothing of carcass. Beat and teach, oh yeah, and the electricity and the internet. You spoke nothing about carcass in the first 3 weeks of Melissa. All of a sudden, we don't know if Janko reaches St. Elizabeth. We don't know if the earth and worm and dog yam them up. But all of a sudden, Tuftan get up a talk about carcass. Wait 3 weeks after. Wait 3 weeks after everything done. Or you gonna do? Burn or bury the bone them? Or is it only bone that is carcass, Christopher Tuftan? Because when they did it, a swell and bust. When they did a swell and bust, Christopher Tuftan, we never hear you talk about carcass. All of a sudden, the dry bone them left pan dot. Christopher Tuftan get up every day and talk about carcass. Government will help to bury carcass. Government will discover. Like, seriously? This is the reason why you all are walking around and patting yourself on the back. Because nobody barring uno can't see so now do good. Nobody barring Uno can't see so now do good. That's why Uno have to celebrate on yourself. And Uno have to congratulate on yourself. Can nobody not say anything about Uno to congratulate? Can you not doing anything? 3 weeks you all been coming to the bully podium. And every day when you come on a quarrel, when you respond to when you hear vlogger or whatever political narrative or civil society says, when you come on the bully podium for quarrel. Look at the breakdown the Prime Minister had in Parliament yesterday. Look at the breakdown Minister Spirosis have in Parliament yesterday over the 100 million or the 150 million. So it would be useless for us to congratulate you. We can't answer one simple question. Look how Angela Brownberg asked Andrew one question yesterday. And before answer Angela Brownberg can cuss off the whole nation. What is there to pat on up on the back for? What have you all done for us to say thank you or well done? If Uno did do something good, Uno don't have to celebrate on yourself because we will be all over Uno celebrating Uno. The fact that Uno have to come out here in our so-called tired self and celebrate on yourself, it tell you how bad of a job you all have done. Bunch of overgrown fools.
The information as to how to deal with that. We're also providing information on how to deal with waste, given that toilets have non-functional in some instances in some of the communities, and all of that is taking place. We have also...
That's why we keep borrowing Tuftimes. Ask Andrew Holness, say we say, Ghana send portable toilets and Ghana send portable hand wash station. That will alleviate the problem that you have just referred to, Dr. Tuftimes. So tell the Prime Minister, say you hear it over global TV. So Ghana send portable toilets and Ghana send portable hand wash station. Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, where defecating in the open air could do well with too. That will help to limit whatever other bacteria you have in store for Christopher Tuftimes. But no, Uno no care. Because within the first 48 hours of Melissa, Dr. Dawes was all out there telling us what to do and telling us what the risks are. You, on the other hand, Christopher Tuftimes, rather stayed silent until the outbreak start. You start count the body them. I wonder if Archer get none of the body them, doctor. Dr. Tuftimes, I wonder if Archer get none of the leptos bodies. Plan B, Jamaica. This is Plan B. Melissa never kill enough away. Jamaica, this is Plan B in action. Melissa never do what they want Melissa to do. So they might use a more silent gunman to walk up on you in the name of virus and bacteria.
Ensure that we have mobilized the team to be on the ground. We have made special appeals to bring more persons on, retired public health team members who have volunteered to engage the process. We have also, where outside help has been offered, ensure that persons are credentialed and are deployed where the need is greatest, working with our partners at PAHO and otherwise. And from that perspective, therefore, we think that the plan is working. We do anticipate that we will see...
Not that there are early evidence to suggest that the plan is working. we think, we think, that is subjective. That is Christopher Tuftimes' opinion. It's not based on any data. It's not based on any data. It's just based on Chris Tufton floppy water remote.
Tapering off of the suspected and infected cases. We stand, as of the 22nd of November, on record 91 suspected, probable or confirmed cases of the disease, with 10 PCR confirmed cases. That is a testing, which is the gold standard of testing for this kind of illness. 11 deaths, 3 of which are confirmed leptospirosis deaths. And the indication from the team, this is the EPI team collecting the data from our Centennial sites across the country, is that the increase in suspected or confirmed cases is taking place at a decreasing rate. Now, what's the ray of hope in that? Is that we are expecting, therefore, that it will taper off and then hopefully decline to what would be more in keeping with the average rates in the country. Now, it's still early days, and I don't want to go out on a limb and predict. It's not my job so to do. But I believe that the work on the ground is bearing fruits, and that we hopefully will see better days ahead, and we will keep you updated in the days and weeks to come. So that's it for me as it relates to leptospirosis. As I said, we'll give a more fulsome report on the status of health in the next day or two to deal with all the other issues. And there's a lot happening. And I want to just take the opportunity again to thank the team for the work and the support in so doing.
Jamaica is all guest and spell.
So if you want to make a remote income from home, and you're a beginner, meaning right now you have a 9-to-5 job or you're self-employed, you need to know this one concept, because there's a new and better way to make an income online with a 100-year-old strategy.
It's all guest and spell. All right.
Thank you,
Darrell
Dr.
Vaz come here now. Then after Darrell Vaz, we go to Dean Jackson Miller question.
Often. And we are, as you heard, there's going to be more details. There are other parts of the health discussion that need to be done in a little bit more detail, and he will treat with those later this week. And so up next, we have our Minister of JPS and everything, Minister Vaz, who is out there every day fighting for the people of Jamaica to get back light. And so, Minister Vaz, you are next up, and please welcome our Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transportation.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure by now you would have either heard or seen the response to my statement in Parliament yesterday as it relates to the JPS restoration efforts as a result of Melissa. There was some question and answers after, which has caused some level of confusion. And I'm here this morning to basically just give a quick outline of exactly what has transpired to where we are today. So Jamaicans will recall that a license was issued, electricity license, in 2001. That license was renewed in 2016 and expires in 2027. The license requires that the government of Jamaica indicate by July 2025 the status of their decision as it relates to the license that expired in 2027. We responded in June 2025 as the government of Jamaica to indicate that we would not be renewing the license on the current terms, and that any license that was going to be issued would be on newly negotiated terms. Firstly, because we believe that the license was flawed in the first place, and secondly, a license that is 25 years old does not reflect the changes and the landscape in the energy sector. Important to note, if we did not respond by July 5th, 2025, the JPS would automatically get an extension of 10 years on the existing license. That would take you to 2037. So for all those who are saying that we have caused a problem because we gave them notice and they can't raise money with their license for 2 years, just imagine continuing for another 12 years under the same terms and conditions with the electricity price as where it is as the highest in this region. So I wanted to make that first statement to put everything in context. Secondly,
no, man. You know, the Prime Minister turned up in the Parliament yesterday and tell them how to handle COVID good. Why you need an inquiry when the Prime Minister handled the COVID disaster so well now, man?
We don't want to mix politics with Melissa. That's a position that I have taken and the government has taken. But I must state, and you can take from my statement now what I'm saying. This is the first time that the Andrew Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party government has gotten an opportunity to renegotiate a license from scratch. First time. And we gave a commitment to the Jamaican people then that we were going to protect the Jamaican people by making sure that a license or any license that was issued would have the Jamaican people's interest first and foremost. That would be the country and the consumers. So I made a commitment as minister with the backing of my government that the license would not be renewed on the current terms, and that a negotiating team would be put in place to start negotiations with whoever was interested in the possibility of running the utility company. JPS expressed an interest, and therefore that's all well and good. But it's clear that we have options. So the government of Jamaica, for the first time, had leverage because we have a license to issue on terms that we want to make sure are favorable.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI.
Here comes Melissa. Unfortunately, Melissa came and did catastrophic damage, not only to Jamaica landscape, but also the transmission and distribution lines of the Jamaica Public Service. Originally, first estimate was between 480 and 600 million US. Thankfully, that has been coming down nicely as assessments continue, and they are now at about 350 million US dollars. So that's great news. However, Melissa posed a problem because with a license with 2 years to go, the JPS would not be able to find or raise the capital on the capital market. And first thing that they said was that they would need a 15-year extension of the current license in order to be able to raise capital. They met with the multilaterals, who were very, very anxious to help on an emergency basis, but they too said that they needed between 8 and 10 years extension in order to protect their loan. So the minister here and the government and the cabinet were in a pickle for two reasons. One, an extension on the existing license, despite the fact that we had Melissa, would be a breach of faith in relation to the commitments that were given. Secondly, we would not have time to negotiate any amendments, even on an interim basis, to speed up the restoration and be able to speed up the restoration at the same time. Huge problem, because the fact of the matter, as was said in Parliament by all my colleagues yesterday, the people want light. The projection by the JPS currently, with their existing apparatus of 170 imported linesmen and equipment, takes us to April to May 2026. Can you imagine telling the people in the 5 parishes that they have to wait until mid-year next year to get light? Absolutely unacceptable. It's just not possible. It's as simple as that. So we had to find a solution. And the first solution of mixing an extension for funding was not palatable, neither for me as minister or for my government. So on Monday morning, after several different iterations and negotiations and proposals, they had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, the Financial Secretary, myself, and the Permanent Secretary, President and CEO of JPS, and the Chairman. And I made it clear at the outset that we are not discussing an extension and funding. We are separating both. That was agreed. We were able to come out of that meeting and go to Cabinet to get an approval to loan the JPS $150 million immediately, on the basis that that money would be used singularly for an advanced restoration, taking us from April or May next year to January.
Darrell Vaz, how confusing. I think for the purpose of idiot like me, you should clarify if it's two different 150 million US dollars, or the 150 million US dollars that play around Robin Darrell Vaz. We would like to know that. I think it's very important. Given how no hand nimble and how no thief, and when no touch anything on the hand can come off of it and a whole heap of money, and we see the Prime Minister have back and pem in him bosom, it's important that we know which 150 we no lend JPS. If I the one from World Bank or a one they have under mattress.
January to February 2026, which means that we'll be saving 3 to 4 months on restoration. How was the 150 picked out of a hat? They said they needed 300 linesmen to add to the 170 linesmen, and that would cost $75 million US a month for 150 for 2 months. They said, let's stop there. Let's deal with that and get the restoration program going, and then we continue discussions and negotiations in relation to what happens after that. So that is what Cabinet approved, a 5-year loan, which means that they have the option to pay it off in 2 years, which is when their license expires. If they are successful in the negotiation on our terms, they'll be able to raise the capital immediately to pay the government back their money. If they are not, and there's a new player that is coming to the table, the contract and the conditions of the license requires that the government buys the assets of JPS, which means that our $150 million will be set off with whatever that valuation is. And a valuation will be done based on the current status of JPS now and also one if it comes the time where the assets have to be valued because the negotiation.
Let me ask you, Minister. Suppose we catastrophe ban never trigger. You mean to say we never go get back like because JPS don't have no money? You, before we catastrophe ban trigger, you never know said JPS. No, sir. What a confusion. How much 150 pound are, how much 150 million are there, Darrell Vaz?
Sons have broken down and JPS will not continue in 2027. So I want to make it very clear that the government has acted responsible and that the government and the taxpayers of Jamaica are secured. Worst case scenario is that we convert the $150 million into preferential shares in JPS if they're unable for whatever reason to repay. So it's covered on all angles. So I wanted to clear that from the mischief and the nuisance and the noise that's coming from sub-circles. I want to quote, and I'm asking you, especially Desmond, to just work with me, because it's very important to clear the noise and give the facts. I was posed a question yesterday by the leader of the opposition.
Hang on.
And he asked as follows. So I'd like your assurance, Minister, that the $200 million will be coughed up by the JPS. That's the difference between the 350 and $150 million that JPS is putting up. The 200 million that will be needed. Or JPS is going to draw down on whatever funding it can to raise from its creditors. I don't know how they plan to fund it, but we need to know it's funded before we put up our $150 million. What the leader of the opposition is saying is that we must not start the restoration immediately. We must allow the people to continue to suffer while we negotiate and try and find a way to find $200 additional million, which would set us back for restoration, not by April or May, but probably 2 to 3 more months after that, by the time that negotiation is completed.
If it is Darrell Vaz, we don't have more money, and I know we want dege 150 million, then why you don't pluck up and lend JPS more money? Since I don't have money to go around and no support can reach the people on the ground, why you don't lend more? And these people are looking for us to celebrate them. When everything what them do since the storm, the people who are suffer are being ruled out of it.
So, as I said, that's a quote from the leader of opposition. And my response is, as Minister of Energy, as a Jamaican, as someone who has been to the hardest hit areas, seen the people suffering without electricity, I cannot agree with withholding funds that will accelerate the restoration of the recovery process until JPS sources the other $200 million. It would be unfair and unjust to the people of St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawney, St. Ann, and other less affected areas. The $150 million will be the difference between people getting back light as early as Christmas 2025 and latest January 20, end of January, February.
Look how long JPS had to go with I. Look how long JPS had to go with I. The 150 million US for you take up Allen JPS. You see how much Jamaicans lose their roof, their home, and their livelihood? Why none of the money, why none of the taxpayer money can go towards for assistance and we benefit? Look how much money JPS put in foot pan with neck and take out our pocket. And we still have to pick up the pieces and lend JPS money.
26 as against June 2026. I also want to say that I made a miscalculation, and overnight I was able to get it corrected. There's an app.
The minister on another overnight dash again. You know, the minister did an investigation overnight the other day, and now the minister maths was wrong, and the minister managed to work it out overnight and get it corrected in the morning.
Application, Brother Desmond, at the OUR for the last $50 million in the emergency fund. So the figure is no longer 200 million. Overnight, it's $150 million, making it that much easier. So I had a discussion with the OUR this morning. The documentation is in front of them, and based on all that has happened, I don't see how an approval will not be given for the disbursement of that $50 million.
So, is he saying to us that when he picked up his pens and bottle stoppers, the 350 million worked down to 200 million? So them a lend 150. I don't know. I told him say it was a convolution. Don't ask me. Me not have buckle stepper. A long time me not drink nothing. Out of buckle them way this. So me don't know. The last part I me not understand. Anyone understand the last part? Cause me at the last part me run out of petrol. Me run out of petrol. The last bit they went out, me never grip it at all. Me run out of petrol right there, so.
So that's great news.
Would it be a bad idea if you use our credit card to pay for your
All right,
marketing?
we are
Actually,
going to,
it is a shark from the TV show Shark Tank.
We're going to
answer two
question
other issues that were raised. Member Paulwell mentioned about legislation.
Media. Antoinette, who do we have first? Is it okay? Good. Go ahead. Good morning.
So how you doing?
Can't stand Dana at all.
So
You're too tame.
Let me try to take notes.
Dana, I just make me not like you. You're too tame. You're too tame and friendly, Dana. Nobody no need can for catch you. Nobody no need can for catch you. You're too tame and friendly.
all right, so first of all, I understand how busy the Prime Minister is. Clearly, he can't visit everywhere, but he has visited some areas. Can you explain why it took the PM 2 weeks to visit the worst affected communities in Eastern Westmoreland, and then seemingly only because a bunch of Caribbean Prime Ministers were visiting? Second question, Commander Gale speaking at the PAAC last week when asked about relief work and how MPs didn't know when relief teams would be visiting their constituencies, explained the process and said what happens is that they contact the parish disaster coordinators before going in. Can you explain why relief teams wouldn't be not just notifying the relevant MPs, but also having them as an integral part of their relief team? And why is the relief effort seemingly so centralized and not community-based? 3 opposition leaders said yesterday at a presser that the opposition hasn't been invited to sit on any committees dealing with the relief work. Can you say if this is so? If it's not true, can you say what committees they've been invited to be on? And if it is true, why is it that that is the case? And fourthly, at this point, it seems clear the government doesn't have any intention of convening an independent oversight committee, despite your previous assurances at previous press briefings. Can you say why that is? And for clarity, the real-time audit being done by the Auditor General, very, very important, but can't be a substitute for that. And in relation to your own portfolio, Minister, obviously very important to get the schools back, but we've been getting complaints that some residents, especially in Westmoreland, feel they're being pressured. Got a report yesterday that teachers have been visiting and pressuring people to leave, and they feel when they don't feel they have somewhere safe to go to. I'll stop there.
All right. Thank you very much. That East Westmoreland question was the same exact question I got in the Senate on Friday by one of the opposition members. They said the same thing. Why didn't the Prime Minister go to East Westmoreland? Why it took him so long to go there? And I had to show in the Senate a video of the Prime Minister in Westmoreland 48 hours after the hurricane. So I'll do that one. And I know Minister Mackenzie is going to take some other ones. The opposition being on, just noting that the Disaster Risk Council has the opposition on that. That is one. In terms of the new initiatives, I have said time and again that Cabinet is looking at using the national partnership as an oversight body. We've not finalized anything yet, but that's what we've been looking at. And the National Partnership Council has the opposition on it. We have two representatives from the opposition. There is Senator Lambert Brown, and there is also Anthony Hilton on that committee that also has the church and the private sector on there, and academia and other trade unions are also there. So that is what we are looking at, and I will confirm once we have a final submission in Cabinet on the disaster, on the new committee, NARA, and how that committee will be overseen. Once that is done, I will come back here and give you the final decision that.
Yes, the PM did went to Westmoreland before the CARICOM MP. You remember what happened is he went to Black River the Wednesday, flew over Westmoreland and saying couldn't fly in a place to pitch and go St. James, go pitch. And then he faced a media backlash over it. And I think it was Friday. I think it was about Friday he went to Westmoreland and Hanover, something like that. But yes, he briefly went there before the CARICOM leaders, but that was after a media backlash though.
Has been taken, but no final decision has been taken. And we believe very much in the oversight element that it has to go outside.
No, me no saying go Westmoreland. Me don't know which part of Westmoreland he did go, if it was White House or where. I don't know which part. But after the backlash when he went to Black River on the Wednesday, I think it was about Thursday, he went to Black River. He went to Westmoreland after the media backlash started on Wednesday evening into Thursday morning.
Of government. I think the others were for you, Minister Mackenzie.
Yeah, just first of all, I think you answered the question about the.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to something else. Okay.
Well, in relation to the question of the Prime Minister taking 2 weeks to visit the areas, the Prime Minister did yesterday explain that Jamaica don't have the luxury of a lot of helicopters. The Prime Minister did within less than 40.
Auntie Angela, moms, I mean, there were a lot of people from Kingston and other places that make their way to Eastern Westmoreland not using helicopter. Me don't know, Auntie Angela, how the helicopter part gets in there. We never see my use helicopter when him a look vote. Him push up his head through the hole in the top of the van. And him go around the country like rolling calf ringing a bell. So how the Prime Minister move now is restricted to air only.
It was visited all the parishes that were affected. So the Prime Minister did, in fact, visited all the parishes that were affected within the first 48 hours, but a more extensive tour was done in Westmoreland because Westmoreland was the area that the hurricane entered the island. And
why then was that tour a delayed tour? Answer the question, my lady. Answer the question, Auntie Angela. Boy, them people can't hitch and patch.
The Prime Minister did by taking the team of CARICOM leaders was something good, because the Prime Minister could have gone to St. Elizabeth, he could have gone to Hanover, but we went to Westmoreland, and no one should try.
Why you not tell us that they are comrades and they are friends of Dayton Campbell, so them come directly for go see Dayton Campbell? Stop play with Jankro. Stop it. Because we know better.
To put anything, any motive at all whatsoever with where the Prime Minister have visited. Okay, the Prime Minister have visited all of the affected areas. In regards to the opposition's claim, the committee that was established is a subcommittee of cabinet. So you have to be a member of the of cabinet to sit on that subcommittee. So this argument about not sitting on relief committees, the minister, my colleague have just outlined that based on the structure of the National Disaster Response Committee, the Prime Minister is the chairman, I am the deputy chairman, the leader of the opposition is a member of that committee. We do have meetings.
Introducing OBSBot Tail 2, a powerful new camera.
And I recall having...
Mark Golden, I forgot to clarify them something, yeah. We need to know if Mark Golden or Desmond McKenzie or Dana Dixon not tell the lie.
Several meetings during burial that we invited the opposition.
Fuck off. Fuck off, Auntie Angela. How we get to burial? How we get to burial? Every time you ask them a question, they go back in reverse. Why are we talking about burial? What happened in burial happened then?
Spokesperson on local government. I don't want the impression to be given that the government is bypassing the opposition. There's a committee that was established in Parliament. The opposition refused to sit on that committee. The Prime Minister outlined the steps that we are taking to have an inclusive Jamaica in the process. We're just getting out of the hurricane. It is going to take some time to put the structures in place. And I would urge the media and other Jamaicans to respect the fact that the government has been working and things will come around. Everything can happen on the same day.
In terms of schools, that is a concern, obviously, in terms of them being used as shelters. But we obviously have to always be on the side of compassion. There are people who don't have anywhere to be. I don't think anyone will wake up and say, I want to be in a shelter. And so we understand that. And so the last week when the Prime Minister was here, he said that he had asked that the shelters be decommissioned. But that has to be done while we find alternative spaces for those individuals. So once Minister Mackenzie and Minister Purnell Charles say,
have you all yet, between Mackenzie and Charles, have you all yet, since the Prime Minister gave a decommissioning order last week, have you all come up with a solution? Because we're a week on and we don't hear on our talk about a solution, and questions are asked on a beat round the bush. On have a week to think. Hold your head and knock against wall or knock against light post. What is the solution for decommissioning? What happened to the tent them? What happened to the tent them and the tarpaulin them? No, but people have to go take picture and ribbon have to go tie, because the Prime Minister, somebody container house, him go do it in a social housing. And you know, say social housing, if you're dead out a door, the Prime Minister now make you go in before and cut in ribbon. Remember them something there?
That they have a new facility for those individuals, they will be moved. And so as a Minister of Education, obviously we are usually saying to them, remember, you need to do this. You have to move very quickly because you want to get schools back. But we understand that there are people that need to still be facilitated in those shelters. And so we're continuing to maintain that. I think those were all the questions, Antoinette. Next one.
The amount of questions
relief teams aren't engaging with the MPs was answered.
Oh, okay. Commando, relief teams, MPs, do you have a standard around the relief teams engaging? Okay, so he's dealing with the parish teams.
The system that exists does not allow the ADPEM to interact with the political directorate.
It's shocking how much of the equipment we've used for decades contains forever chemicals. This is the first innovation.
In every parish, there's a parish development committee, which is chaired by the mayors of each parish. The parish disaster coordinators work closely with the ADPEM, and everything that is done is filtered through the parish development committee. We are all members of parliament in every parish is a part of those committees. And the ADPEM should not be interacting with the political directorate so anybody can accuse the organization of being political. So the organization deals directly with the structure that exists, and that is what has been done for years, and we will continue to do so.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Minister Mackenzie.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning and welcome back.
Nationwide news here. Question to Minister Vaz. Can you give any updates on the resumption of the rural school bus program, specifically in Hanover? You know, one of the MPs in Hanover, the Western Hanover's MP, was asking for a resumption of the service.
Is that the school bus program that was opposed? Same one? Okay. All right. Just checking.
So that question was raised to me in Parliament.
This bitch, I'll repeat again. This bitch, did you heard her? Did you heard the Minister of Information, the Education Minister is saying PNP oppose the rural school bus system and them ask for it now. Bitch, we don't have a choice. I feel with taxpayer money. Bitch, it's our taxpayers' money. Bitch, we didn't have a choice when Darrell Vaz thief with money and go take it by Takaram. Did you hear that, bitch? But when we talk, them say because we PNP and we political. But Labour allowed these bitches and bastards in the Labour Party is allowed for things that they can bully we. You don't know say my mouth don't join church. You don't know that by now.
Yesterday by the Member of Parliament for Hanover, for which I passed it on, and I received a response this morning to indicate that the Hanover school bus has been reactivated. It operated yesterday and it operated this morning. So I'll be passing that information on to the Member of Parliament. I have asked them to give me exactly how many school buses were rolled out in Hanover this morning, and I'm awaiting that answer. I'm just checking to see whether it has come in as yet. But to say that the school buses are operating in all parishes where schools are open and road access is available. The only places that are not is the areas that schools are still being used as shelters and road access for the size buses make it unsafe to travel.
And an update on the fares for the students.
Suspended until December.
So we were going to give this to our son this year for Christmas as a stocking stuffer, but honestly, we're probably...
So zero.
This dirty slut is not an elected politician. Dana Dixon is a freeloader. Dana Morris Dixon is not an elected politician. We never elect Dana. Dana lay down on her back and give Andrew a piece, and Andrew give Dana a job. Dana don't have no blood clot right to interfere in our tax money, beg on pardon. This slut have no right interfering in our tax money. But that's how Andrew and he bitch them take we country for them, you see.
We had originally indicated that the fare structure would start November 1st. Hurricane hit October the 28th, and so we have moved that forward to December. We reassess it in January, but obviously it's not only the worst affected parishes that were affected. The entire country has been affected, and of course people's lives and livelihoods have been affected in different ways, but in education, as you would know, is very important, and therefore we have to facilitate and accommodate the children to be able to continue to go to school even in times of adversity. Hanover is rolling.
Thank you, Minister.
We must not settle for the insult from these people, especially an unelected trollop like Dana Morris Dixon. Dana Morris Dixon have no right to speak about with tax money. Dana Morris Dixon have no right to speak about with tax money. We never elect Dana Dixon. We never elect Dana Dixon. And Andrew take up millions of money a year. She have no right to talk about with tax money.
Yeah, my second question would be to Commander Gale. In terms of the communities that were marooned, I know we've received an update on how they are now in terms of the status, but in terms of the people that are in those communities, now that they are no longer cut off as they once were, how is the recovery efforts going on in those places?
Our recovery efforts are ongoing right across all sectors. In terms of all communities, there's no special treatment towards those parts of the communities. The communities which remain flooded, there is some work ongoing from the Jamaica Fire Brigade and the JDF teams to treat with the water situations there and in terms of the other environmental matters pertinent to the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
And in terms of the communities like Content or places in Hanover that have rising water levels, what's the response like there?
Well, there's nothing we can physically do about the rising waters. What is occurring now, I can tell you, is that right across all which are flooded, the waters have been gradually receding. So we're watching that as it goes down. But in terms of vector control mechanisms, those are being put in place in those communities.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Zara Burton, 18 Degrees North. There were 8 presenters, so I do have questions for 4 of the presenters. The first set of batch of questions is for ODPIM, Commander Gale. You mentioned that there were 16 people missing. I want to understand, I brought this up the last time, but why it is that ever so often we get a JCF message on Twitter about somebody missing, and yet we can't get a list of missing in this instance. 2, is it 360,000 people affected like you've said in the past, or is it 600-something thousand people affected in the past on the website of ODPIM right now that need aid? And the Prime Minister had said 900,000. So I wanted to clarify some of those figures in terms of how many people are we trying to reach systematically for aid distribution. Also, are you delivering aid on the weekends? And then 4 for you, how much has been deposited in the ODPIM accounts now? How much has been spent on aid? How much are you in control of as the head of ODPIM? Who controls the amount of funds that has been deposited in ODPIM? The second set of questions goes to Minister Vaz.
Can I attempt to answer the others first?
If you want to build an app and have no idea how
We
to
can
code
the
or
question
where
them
to
one
start,
you know,
check out
if you ask them one question, they confuse them.
Oh,
so
No. Can we just have all of them? Because remember, the ministers have to go to cabinet. So let's take all of them and then we'll give you one set of answers.
Okay, Minister Vaz, you mentioned that JPS is saying 300 additional linesmen would cost $75 million each month. I just did some math. 470 linesmen, $75 million. That's US $159,574 per linesman, $25.5 million. If it's 300 linesmen, that's 250,000 US per lineman, $40 million per month. I want to understand if they had a schedule to come back online in April, May, prior to needing this cash. How is it that if they would have had maybe, I'm just assuming maybe everything in place in terms of infrastructure needed to come back online for that time, how is it that 300 linemen additional is costing this much money? So just a clarification on that. 2, there is an NWC situation where we've been dependent on JPS power to power water supply. And the Minister of Overseeing NWC recently said that in terms of, to a question of a journalist, the NWC, yes, they're exploring renewable energy in some instances, but there is a concern that if NWC was to be powered by renewable energy completely, it would hurt JPS's bottom line, which would mean higher bills for us as customers. My question is, in the negotiations with JPS in order to renew their license, have you encountered or engaged them in any conversation about getting NWC, factoring NWC as not a customer anymore, and how they could plan for that so that people in disasters can continue to get water regardless of the power situation? And obviously that may have an impact on bills. I want to know if that has been assessed at this point. And lastly, on this $150 million investment that the government of Jamaica is making in JPS's restructuring, I get it, it's an investment in the economy. I just want to know, has there been a factoring done of cost to us as JPS customers in terms of light? How will that affect us? The next batch of questions, Mr. Burbick. Cost of the 2,500 containers, cost of the overall. modular units, okay? I think the public calls them containers, but I will say with your language,
A
modular
container
units.
name. Hold on. I wonder for the Andrew name they want. They are containers, or I call them so. A container host they be.
Cost, I asked about the cost of the 2,500, the overall cost to the consumer who is about to purchase this when it comes in. Those were not mentioned, wondering about those figures. And then last batch of questions for you, Minister, is you had mentioned a spreadsheet of all the aid that's been received, and at some point it would be made available. I wanted to get a sense that overall spreadsheet now, because that 540 million that the ODPEM had mentioned a couple of weeks ago as having been deposited in ODPEM doesn't seem to reflect like the US 22 million that we got from the United States, or we were supposed to get from the United States in aid, because obviously that would be in the billions. And so I'm just wondering if you are going to be giving us the spreadsheet of all the aid that we've received from different aid agencies and also from different governments around the world.
All right. In terms of the aid one, I'll take that one very quickly. Remember that much of the aid that's committed by many of our multilaterals is not cash. It is in kind. And so all of that is recorded by ODPEM. ODPEM has their system of monitoring all of that, and at the appropriate time, ODPEM will share that. So ODPEM, since you're here, I'll let you take the questions on the missing people and some of the aid questions that were there.
So I'll start with the matter of the weekend. We do deliver on weekends. We deliver every day through our system. In terms of the cumulative sums that have been deposited into ODPEM accounts, I had mentioned earlier $1.68 million US and just about 635 million Jamaican dollars, and that's across all accounts. The procurement plan for these accounts is now being developed. We're doing that against the needs list. We're also looking at what persons are contributing otherwise in terms of what's on the ground, in terms of physical assets, and to move those. But we have been able to utilize from some other accounts, primarily the NDF, to treat with initial procurement of food items and water that has gone out. Your question concerning
so let's just clarify. None of the money that has been received has been spent as yet. So we've been using our government funds. Some additional funds were approved by Cabinet for ODPEM to use. Our donors have also provided food and so on. So none of that money has been spent. They're now going to figure out how to spend it.
Concerning the missing persons, I believe.
All right.
I don't have the figure with me. I can give you at a later time.
Alvin, if you can walk with the paper, the minute you have phone, and you always turn up and research and without any documents.
He'll give you those info after.
Concerning the missing persons, I believe the same with the matter concerning the persons who are deceased. The police and the families are treating with those names as per their own protocols. So we will not be publishing these names. No.
All right. So
attention, growth hackers and hustlers. Would it be a bad idea if we paid for your marketing? That means you would get unlimited email and SMS marketing for free. That's right.
Questions.
Let's see, there was a question about the additional linesmen and NWC Water. I think it's really on the linesmen, Minister Vaz. Really what it was, they were going to need the money irrespective of whether or not it was fast forwarded. What we've done is to say we need it fast forwarded, and we are giving you the money to fast forward it. But Minister Vaz, you can answer.
So let me clarify. When you say 300 linesmen, the linesmen come with equipment and they come with materials. So when 300 linesmen come to Jamaica to assist the 170, they'll be coming with barges full of equipment, very expensive equipment that has to be rented to make sure that they would be able to carry out the tasks that they have been mandated to do in the time that they have been made to do. So bottom line is, if you get 300 linesmen, they will need to rotate those linesmen because they would only work those linesmen for 18 hours a day for 30 days. So you'd have to bring in a new set of linesmen for the second 30 days, or you'd be using burnt out linesmen who are working at the minimum efficiency because obviously of the stress of the job that they are doing. So it is not 300 linesmen divided into 150 million US dollars. There's a lot more. What I can say, as I said yesterday in Parliament, once the arrangements have been finalized, it will be scrutinized to make sure that we are getting value for money, and we will also monitor the schedule that has been agreed on in terms of the restoration period and the areas. All of that will be made public, including the final loan arrangement documents and the terms and conditions of that. What we don't have is time. People want light.
All right, we have, we're gonna.
We are giving a loan, and that loan is fully secured with any situation that may arise, whether or not they get a new license or they don't get a new license. If they get a new license, which is 2 years is the expiry, they will be able to refinance themselves and pay us back the $150 million. If they don't, we are obligated to buy the assets of JPS, which means that our $150 million will come off of the table first. The shares will be our backup. In case of any eventuality, we would have preferred shares in JPS. So essentially, we would have control not only of our licensing destiny, which is the most important to me, but also the fact that at the end of the day, the $150 is a loan to the JPS. Instead of them having to borrow from somewhere else or somebody else, which would take a much longer time, probably at a much higher interest rate, we are bridging that gap so that we can restore 2 to 3 months earlier. I just don't understand what's so difficult to understand and comprehend about a straightforward, smart, simple, compassionate, and responsible government action.
All right. All right. In relation to the bills.
The question was asked yesterday in relation to the impact of the hurricane. The 3 alternative energy sources that we use, Clarendon, Old Harbor, and Montego Bay, one was out of commission for 2 days and one was out, and two are out for 3 days. So the impact of the change of fuel source would be minimal in relation to that fallout. And in relation to the loan, the JPS has to borrow money any which way. So this new money that they are borrowing from the government would probably be beneficiary to the customers based on the interest rates that will be negotiated, based on the fact that we are very mindful of the fact that any higher interest rates than normal interest rates would have an impact, obviously, with a pass-through to the customers. So the government and the Ministry of Finance, I'm sure, will take that into consideration and work out the best interest rate possible to minimize any impact on the customers and people of Jamaica.
All right.
Unfortunately for me, I'm not the line minister as yet for NWC, but I think in due course, Minister Samuel will be here. And I know that the Prime Minister made mention in one of his speeches about using alternative sources to make sure that in hurricanes, we were not dependent on JPS. And as a result of Beryl, I know that there's some main water supplies that have already gotten generators, and I know that there's a lot more that are in procurement to make sure that water can be in the pipes in the case of any disaster or catastrophe.
All right, I'm getting an SOS from Cabinet because we are an hour and 19 minutes late. During Berbick, you have to answer a question on the modular units. The teams are here to take your questions. DBJ and NHT and others are here. The UN team is here. So if anybody has any additional questions, you can definitely get them answered.
So excited today because I just came to the mailbox
because Zara and Diane's question really worn them down. So look how them around here now.
Thank you, Minister. I'll just quickly point out that we are currently in the procurement process, so we do not have finalized numbers as yet. And that's procurement. We are currently assessing over 40 proposals for the modular units, and we also have to do a procurement.
Look at John Crow. Look at John Crow. Trained by the big John Crows. Don't come out here with your fuckery. They name container, the Prime Minister build a trailer park. Don't come here with the modular housing and a modular housing them. And also modular housing go. Stop. Oh, God.
Exercise for the infrastructure works as well. So the final cost to the customer will include both components. So we do not want to prejudice that exercise at this stage by releasing our estimates that we are working with. Suffice to say, if affordability is a question, the customer would be able to benefit from the NHT's grants and subsidies that are made available in the regular course of acquiring a mortgage.
All right. Thank you very much, Dwayne. I have to leave. I mean, is it one quick one? Okay, sure. I did. On aid. I did. That was the first one I answered.
Who was complaining of the shelter.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just repeat that. Since you answered me, I got communication from the residents in the shelter. It is a content primary school, which I think you mentioned is the one that isn't open yet. And what they said was that they were told to be in a particular part of the school, but that part was damaged. And they're knowing, I think it sounds to me like it's the admin block from what I've heard, and they're being told they have to leave. They're in distress. They have nowhere to go.
Well,
can you comment on what you would say to the residents because they're asking?
Well, what we have said is that we have to treat everybody as a human being. We have to treat them the way we'd want.
We're tired of the fucking patronization. We know that we're human beings. We're not fucking thick as you all are. What is the plan? What is the plan, you stupid woman? What is the plan? To remove them from the school. What is the plan? We know that we're human being, John Crow. You think we're born today?
Want to be treated. If I were homeless, I would want to know that people would be accommodating to me. And we have said that we have to take care.
What is the government's duty? They are homeless. What is the government's duty? It is a disaster. The government have garnered many international assistance. What is the government's duty? What is the government plan? Or is the government saying, time up, rain not fall, go on, go grace the grass like cow? I mean, I see what else.
Care of those who are in the shelters. We cannot move them out until we have another facility. And that is what Minister Mackenzie and Minister Charles have been asked to do. Once there is an agreement in terms of where they will go, then they can decommission the school. But we can't decommission a school until those individuals who are there have somewhere to go. And that is the policy of the government, and the ministry will intervene too. The PS is here. She will be intervening with that school just to make sure that that is very much understood.
And that the residents aren't pressured because they feel distressed.
Yeah. And I can understand that would be very distressing. And we don't want to do that because so many people have lost everything. They've lost everything. And we have to be very caring about that. And preserving their dignity is at the center of everything. And so
build a website you love with Wix. For your words?
That should never happen. And we're going to ensure that it does not continue. All right, and so this has been a long meeting, and I've been abandoned by all the ministers. But
when they can't take the question, them run. Anyway, globalists, at twilight of morning over here, I'm tired. I now make them drunk and stress me out more than what Melissa do to me. But I think we can see it loud and clear in a public. So it is a labor country. It is a labor disaster. And the whole of we belong to labor. So they can take it and do it with what they will. Gone are the days when questions used to be answered in our country, neither in our parliament or at the press conference. The whole answering of a question has gone through the window now. Going around in circles end up make people like me just feel dizzy. Going around in circles just make people like me feel dizzy. And that's what we have been having ever since the Melissa got in. We're just being pushed around and around in circle by government and their friends without any care, while all they care about is collecting money and fixing up them wire fence to gain them profit. It's literally all about profit and investment. The Prime Minister said the region is ripe for investment. But Marcus Garvey says, unite or perish. Thank you very much for being here tonight, listening to the sopranos of the Prime Minister's choir. Join us back tomorrow morning when we'll find some evil spirit. We'll find someone of the evil spirit to expose tomorrow morning. Thank you and good night from Global TV.
Too long in our little ghetto, run keep going on, less process. For children of Israel do really love rights. So just and I as a watchman around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Day or night, we gotta bust down Babylon walls. Preparing the way, preparing the way for jumping. Let's go. Fight down.
Oh yeah, tomorrow is Thanksgiving in the North America. So
we say Rastafari, war and cry, and do the righteousness. And we love Jah, and we love Jah, Jah Rastafari, and we love Jah, Jah Rastafari, save all people. And we love Jah, we love Jah, Jah Rastafari, we love Jah, Jah Rastafari, save all people. Put time away again. Listen, yeah. Just as I and I as a watchman around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I and I should never hold thy peace while we penalize day or night. We gonna bust down Babylon gates. Prepare the way, prepare the way for Jah Rastafari. Fight down war and crime, fight down war and crime, Rastafari, war and crime, and build up righteousness. And we love Jah, and we love Jah, and we love Jah, Rastafari, we love all, and we love Jah, me love Jah, me love Jah, Rastafari. Yeah, the next song is going to be the last song for tonight. And then
if you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.